Good morning, everybody. All right, today I'm going to talk about some homesteading stuff finally. So, we're starting to move into our spring season here, and we're going to be doing some planting, and I'm going to talk about chickens and harvesting, and then we're going to get into the market season, and that's going to be really fun. So, this is a breakdown of what we spend on our eggs. And you can do this a bunch of different ways. So we pay around $23.99 on average for a 40-pound bag of organic grain. We have 10 birds. We get 1 egg a day on average. In the wintertime, it's a little bit less, but a lot of times we'll get extra eggs in the summertime. So it kind of makes up the difference. And so one of those bags of grain, because we free range our birds, or pasture raise rather our birds, they get a lot of bugs and grass and the things that they're supposed to be eating in addition to this grain. So this grain, and then they also get scraps. So like any vegetable scraps that we have, they get. And that's quite a bit because when you're chopping vegetables, anything you chop the end off of, they're eating. So that's a really cool thing, and it saves money too. It saves food waste and it saves money. So by giving them extra feed. So $23.99 on average for a 40-pound bag of organic grain. Now we feed the organic grain. We that for us it's a big deal. We want them to eat whatever they're eating. We want them to eat it organically. But if you didn't, they sell say you just cared about genetic modification, genetically modified organisms. You could purchase a bag of GMO free grain for $12.99. And I find, me personally, that with the organic grain, seems to maximize their laying and their production, their egg production. I don't know what it is. I don't know why or what the difference is. There must be something about the quality, or it must be better for them. I'm not really sure, but that's what I found. So I had tried in the past with other birds, the non-GMO grain, and it's not bad. But I would say my suggestion would be, if that's your feeling on it and you still want to try to maximize, I might mix the two, because the non-GMO grain you can get for $12.99 for 40 pounds. That's pretty cheap. So if you were to mix a couple of the 40-pound $23.99 bags organic grain with a couple of the non-GMO bags, you'd be in business. You'd be saving a lot of money. So you would get this price down even further than I have. The reason why my birds can go for 35 days on one 40-pound bag of grain, and there's 10 birds, is because they're outside eating. If you keep your birds pent up, they're going to eat a lot more grain. Of course, some people want to do that because they don't want to lose any birds, and they live in an area with a lot of predators. We don't, and I have two hounds, so I let them out. I've only lost one bird in the last year, so that's not too bad. And she was elderly, and possibly, she could have just put herself out to pasture. I'm not real sure, but we don't have a big problem with that here. We have in the past, and we eradicated it, so we don't have that problem anymore. So $23.99 for a 40-pound bag, 35 days at a time for the bag to be used up. That gives me just over 68 cents for 10 eggs. And then divide that by 10 eggs, you get 68 cents an egg. Times that by 12 to give you how many in a dozen, how much per dozen, 82 cents per dozen. So 10 eggs per day times 30 days, that's 300 eggs. Divide that by 12 eggs, that's 25 dozen eggs per month. Divided by 4 weeks, that's 6.25 dozen per week. So this is the thing that I really want to touch on too. So 6.25 dozen per week. When it's not market season and I'm not baking, what am I going to do with all of these eggs? We only eat maybe 1.5 dozen a week ourselves, if that. So what am I going to do with the other 4.5 to 5 dozen eggs? I sell them. And I sell them for a pretty low price, and I'll tell you why. So I sell them for $3.50 a dozen. And the reason why, first of all, I am definitely making a profit, as you can see here. However, I'm not making it so incredibly expensive like the grocery store does because I don't have the same overhead costs that they have. The person is buying those eggs directly from me. So I don't have to worry about lights and, electricity and wages for my employees and all of that kind of thing. That is why when you buy directly from someone who farms, it can be a little bit less expensive for you because you're buying it directly from them. Some farmers charge more and they may have overhead costs. They may have a large staff. It kind of depends on what they're growing and what they're doing. We don't. So I can afford to charge $3.50 a dozen and give it to my customers for a reasonable price, but also make a profit and use that profit to buy my grain. So I'm really getting my eggs and my grain for free. I'm not even really paying this. This would be the breakdown if I was just homesteading and I wasn't selling anything. This would be the breakdown. But for me personally, I'm paying pretty much nothing because I sell them. This time of the year is a little different because they're not producing quite as many. And they produce and then they don't produce, and that's typical because they need a certain amount of daylight in order to produce, and they're not getting that right now. And we don't believe in charging. We don't believe charging. We don't believe in putting a light in their coop because it's not good for them. Hi. Jeez. They really need that break and that rest, and that's why we don't put a light in their coop. You want them to relax and rest a little bit. I guess if you were mass producing, you might want to do that. But I don't see the point in it because I am not mass producing. I'm selling a small amount of these and it's not to make a huge crazy profit. It's just to pay for me to eat for free and my grain and whatever care my birds need. That's my main goal when I'm doing this. Now, when I sell them at the market, sometimes I will sell them a little bit more because during that period in time, I do have some overhead cost. I have to pay for my propane when I bake and all that kind of thing. So that is what I do. And this is my breakdown. And I hope that this helps somebody to decide to start raising their own eggs. In the beginning of the video, you'll see that I have a couple of photos. I'm showing you some of my hens. In one of the photos, it's kind of hard to see them. They're actually out in the woods and they're woodlands, woodlands grazing, I guess you could call it. So they're out in the woods eating, seeds and bugs and all the kinds of things that they need to be healthy and to give us a really, really nice egg. Another thing I want to talk about really quick too is you'll notice a huge difference in someone who pasture raises their eggs. When you get pasture raised egg, the egg is actually going to be really dark yellow or orange in the center. And that's because that egg is full of nutrients. When you buy from the grocery store, you might notice that the yellow of the egg is just that. Yellow, pale yellow, sometimes the white is super white. It's lacking nutrients. And the reason why is because most farms keep their hens, their layers, in cages or in a large room stuffed and packed together. They never see the light of day. And they do not get any nutrients besides the nutrients that they're given from the grain. That is the only nutritional value that they get. And these girls are eating the way that nature intended them to eat. Alrighty. Have a great day, everybody. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.